The Season 6 meta is quite fun, but can be very punishing if you don't have the proper matchup knowledge. It's as if they added 2 support heroes in one season. Of course, Illari is very strong, but Lifeweaver was buffed into relevance as well. Overall, healing power is higher than it's ever been before in Overwatch 2, meaning backlines are often quite durable, and it can be difficult to find eliminations unless you set them up appropriately. Today's video sponsor is Manscaped, the absolute best in the business when it comes to male grooming. You can take it from me, I've been a happy customer for over half a decade. They say the beard makes the man, which is why today we're going to check out the Manscaped Beard Hedger Pro Kit. The star of the game is the Beard Hedger Trimmer. It is a powerful 7,200 RPM motor and a titanium coated T-blade, so you can say goodbye to that neck beard. You can choose from 20 different cutting lengths with the zoom wheel that uses only one guard. It's super easy and I love it. Also, the Beard Hedger is waterproof, cordless, rechargeable, so you can trim in the shower. Manscaped also has a lineup of dermatologist-tested beard care products for you to upgrade your beard game. The beard shampoo is cruelty-free, paraben-free, sulfate-free, dye-free, and vegan. The beard conditioner is infused with coconut oil, shea butter, vitamin E to give it that nourishment it deserves. This stuff is going to make your beard look, feel, and smell magnificent. The Beard Hedger Pro Kit includes everything you need, including the hedger itself and some free accessories as well: brush, comb, and scissors. Get it all, you'll feel like your beard's going for a spa day every day of the week. You can pick it up by going to manscaped.com and use our promo code OVERWATCH at checkout to get 20% off your entire order plus free international shipping. First, let's talk about the best tank in the game right now, Orisa. She's got a lot of things going for her. Aside from the meta, she's always going to be resistant to tank disable abilities because she has multiple answers to them. If she has Fortify up, she'll usually be able to outlast. That's important because a few patches ago, they buffed CC considerably, so that's always an option on the table, but not the most important reason for Season 6. Instead, it's best and easiest to play around a tank that plays close to your backline, as opposed to very aggressive ones that want to go in deep, mainly because Illari is a medium to close range support hero, at least when she is doing her healing. And since she will contribute a heavy amount of ranged pressure anyway, you don't necessarily need a tank to go in deep, although you might consider one for counter play styles to the top meta pick. Orisa can hold the front line and importantly has a strong matchup against most of the tanks in the game. With 2 forms of crowd control and enough damage to take anything out, Orisa holds her own and is a great contender for the top tank pick to absorb those high heal per second numbers from Illari. Although healing numbers are high, you definitely want to play around cover as a tank because the damage numbers are also high, which means being out of position, playing anything aggressive, like if you dive badly as Winston, for example, you're going to get melted by everything. But playing a bit safer around cover, protecting your poke characters is going to be the best thing you can do right now. Orisa's Javelin Spin is able to counteract the huge bursts of damage that come through from characters like Bastion, but we have a couple more honorable mentions here for Sigma and Diva, who both also have EAT abilities that either can counter Illari's ultimate or withstand against the high amounts of damage that'll be coming onto your tank. There's a few tanks I would say to avoid right now, unless you really feel you have the teammates that can commit to the style that they require. I don't think it's so easy to play Winston, Reinhardt, Wrecking Ball, these characters that have moderate damage and need to engage in order to be effective. Instead, I suggest if you want to rush in, you have to have characters that have severe damage, more of a boom bust playstyle as opposed to a reliable one. If you do want to aggress, you probably need the likes of Junker Queen, who now that Illari is such a top pick, counters such as Ana or Kiriko are sometimes off the table for the opposing team comp. And also, although I think he's quite bad, Doomfist, just because he's so all in or all out with his movement. If you're an expert, I think he could be okay, but maybe the top avoid is Roadhog. Since Orisa is so good luck ever really getting much value on Hog. You have to be an expert on him for sure, and maybe just on his best maps. And I'm even starting to second guess a character like Ramatra, who just seems to play too slow and have too low of damage numbers. Overall, honestly, tanking is not so great right now. Make sure you select your tank based on what supports you have and play within their value, because there's many targets on the enemy team that they can pick that are meta viable that simply will just hold the line against you, either dealing too much damage to you or having too much healing to outdo your damage. Tanking's rough right now. Now onto the damage category. Bastion is going to be my top pick right now. Team fights can last a long time, and there's a lot of deployables, so having lots of ammo to mow everything down down can be quite effective. As a general concept, Bastion's pretty good for the meta and the way it's working out, like the slow DPS version of Orisa, but the real kicker is that his series of buffs have really removed almost all the downsides of Bastion. He used to struggle outside of his turret form. Well, now his recon weapon has so much uptime with the fast reload and a very effective tactical grenade now that it blows up so quickly. You've got burst options there just poking normally, and although you are a big target, well, there's a lot of healing on the team, so play around your healers and Bastion can usually stay up in his armor health, and he got an added bit of tankiness as well, where he now can gain some armor health while transforming into turret form. Not only is that impressive for his damage output, but gaining armor health as a DPS is insane, because it's going to block a flat amount of damage, meaning you're going to all of a sudden be outside of a lot of breakpoints that the enemy's not going to be ready for, just by gaining that little bit of extra armor health in the middle of a fight. Long ago, the Bastion ult was considered useless, but with how defensive backlines are and how positionally the game has been playing recently, even that doesn't seem like too big of a weakness for Bastion anymore. Honorable mentions to Torbjorn, who also has hilarious potential, who kept getting buffed as well, and is the type of character that will get prolonged impact in these longer drawn out fights where you're establishing a position for a prolonged period of time, and ultimates are often very key. Don't sleep on Hanzo though as a counter pick against these bigger, beefier targets. He can play outside the effective range of the enemy Allari, and while his consistent pressure damage might not be so great, there's a lot of big hitboxes that Hanzo can farm, making for his more safe in the backline ranged playstyle and burst damage to be pretty good. After receiving some nerfs, I would say avoid playing Sombra, as I feel she was getting balanced for the Overwatch League in pre-made teams with those nerfs. Instead, if you're looking for characters that can apply disables to something, Cassidy and Mei are still strong options. And for the last but certainly not least role in the game, support, we're going to say Allari is easily the top support right now. Even after her nerfs to usher her into ranked, she's still seeing some widespread applicability due to having a very direct skill curve. While I'll admit it might be tough playing with a tank that wants to go in deep constantly, otherwise against everything else, Allari feels like a very stable addition to the game who can handle any situation effectively. She doesn't quite have the utility of other supports, so is going to bias your team to be more offensive in nature, seeing as she can get neutral fight pickoffs or has like the most aggressive damage style ultimate we've ever seen. Know when you pick her, you usually aren't going to be able to do much when it comes to defending or interacting against the enemy's offense. Her heals are great, but that doesn't protect you against ultimates. Instead, you have to land shots or just land a bigger aggressive ultimate when it's your turn to team wipe. But thanks to 5v5 biasing towards offensive gameplay anyway, that seems to suit Allari just fine. While I think she's the best support pick, overall I can't complain so much because she does require you to aim and position well, because setting up around her effective range or pylon positions is key to make her playstyle work. You can check out our Allari guide where we break down the #1 ranked support player in EU ML7's gameplay to get a full understanding of the best playstyle for the character. I've got 2 honorable mentions for the support category. One is going to be Kiriko, who got her rate of fire increased, but if you need a different playstyle, particularly to go in with a dive or aggressive tank, I do suggest you keep her in your back pocket because Allari just doesn't really synergize with that style of play. And it's not like Kiriko is a bad character by any means, but pick her more for her flexibility as opposed to just her raw stat potential. My other honorable mention might be a surprising one. It's going to be Lucio. Reason being, if your team wants to play more aggressive or go off and flank as opposed to anchor meta positions, and the enemy is playing some of the more meta characters, let's say camping around a healing pylon, if your team doesn't get in properly into position, it can feel like you can't really affect the fight at all, and you can lose really harsh against a lot of the deployment style cooldowns in the game right now. The turrets and trees and all of that, you gotta get in and out fully to just fight normally, but as well, speed boost is one of the best ways to interact with enemy ultimates, or even just to set up your own. Lucio's stats are quite bad when it comes to just carrying himself, but he is going to make your team comp function in a way that the enemy might not be able to compete with. Since time to kill between full team comps is kind of long, strong, just having a man advantage in any fight to punish something out of position can make the gameplay a lot easier all of a sudden. That was always the case, but there's a lot of characters with self-sustain abilities that maybe are used to playing out of position a little more nowadays, and you will be able to overwhelm them if all of you get on top of them quicker. Also, don't forget that Season 6 added the new game mode Flashpoint, right in the competitive rotation now. Those are big maps with a lot of distance to clear, and being the first team to set up on the objective around the cover positions can be everything, or just simply getting more team fights snuck in onto the objective. So with all that being the case, Lucio has a lot going for him. A game mode to look out for perhaps is Push, where a lot of times you're just like camping your position and don't want to go in, but when you're on attacker side, on payload or hybrid, and playing Flashpoint, I think it's a good call. The only support I would look to maybe avoid is Moira, who neither has utility or the stats to really overwhelm anything. That has consistently been the case for multiple seasons now. There's so much in the game that's naturally durable, so there's certain things where trying to just throw a damage orb and swarming something and rushing it down is just not going to work. You got to go get that healing pylon to have a chance. And when you compare Coalescence to a lot of the ults that exist nowadays from the support category, it's like Moira, she's on the avoid list for me. And also keep in mind that the support picks dominate the team composition, so I always suggest you have some hero picks in your pool that can adjust their playstyles to deal with whether your team is playing the more rush-in commitment style or playing off your backline and poking. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave it a like, and don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to actually get notified when our videos come out. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.